We have to look across the whole span of what goes on in the workplace and what toxicity could mean. So it can be the gossiping behaviour, maybe colleagues excluding others from lunches. And again, we know this goes on. It can also be, for instance, a manager who's just not very good at getting the best out of the staff under him or her. And of course, then when we look at the far end of it, yes, it could be bullying behavioural practices, discrimination, harassment. Those sorts of things are kind of the worst end of it.
From a practical perspective, I think toxic behaviour can cause mistrust issues primarily, and that can cause breakdowns in relationships at all levels, really, not just higher levels or lower levels. But ultimately, it can lead to low morale and low productivity, and that in itself can have a knock-on effect.
In today's world, it's a bit of a blame game, isn't it? So we always want to blame the other person, but we have to take a bit of accountability ourselves and responsibility for any toxicity, because it's the individuals within the company.
There are many things that employers can do to prevent the extreme situation of claims. You might see bullying claims, you might see discrimination if kind of the nasty behaviour touches upon a protected ground like race or gender, for example. But that is really once it's got a little bit out of hand. Before that, we will try and, if there's a complaint, try and guide our clients in saying to them, well, hold on, maybe you can sit down and talk them down from this escalation. Look at your policy. Hopefully you have a policy. That's the starting point. Have a policy in place for anti-bullying or zero tolerance against certain behaviours, and make sure that you comply with those policies. And if it does get to a point where there are claims, then often we see that although there are claims, there's no legal basis for those claims. So even if we say we do see plenty of these claims, often they don't have legal merits.
The management needs to feed down what their culture is, what their values are, and it needs to go that way, and then to influence the workplace as a whole. So the employer will use, and the employee will use the grievance process to try to address their issues. Lots of companies in Gibraltar also mediate. They might not have an official mediator, but they mediate with their employees to try to resolve issues between colleagues, issues between subordinate and manager. So they use lots of different things like this, but it's also in the culture of the organisation. What do you offer your employees? Are you in touch with them? Do they know what your values are? Do they, express your values? Do you try and, nip things in the bud before they escalate